All right, now that we got all the kinks and bugs worked out, a little unusual for this kind of event. Usually, everything goes really well with the material. So it must be a busy night tonight, I guess. First of all, for anyone who is watching on the YouTube channel, this is where you can comment. You notice the comment section on the upper right. Just add in your comments, questions, your 2 cents, if you will, on the side there. I am Pete Meyer, technical editor of Motor Age Magazine, here to talk about why become an automotive tech. And joining me are 4 individuals who may be able to offer some insight into that. I will introduce them momentarily. But just to give you some background and put this into context, where this really started off with was talking about the skills gap that some have called it, that we have in our country today. I think for me and a lot of others, a comment made by the guy from Dirty Jobs, Mike Rowe, kind of stood out as a real eye-opener. And let me see if I can get that right. I'll paraphrase it. He said that we're spending a lot of money teaching kids who can't pay it back jobs and skills that there aren't any jobs out there for them to take. But on the trades like ours, there are nearly 3 million positions that pay decent. You can make a living, take care of your family at it. But then the question comes up again, why our field? Would you personally recommend to your kids to join our industry? And if so, why and why not? And that came forth by one of the gentlemen here on our panel tonight. I think we'll go ahead and I'll bring him up and we can start with him. We'll put Matt there on the spot. Matt, how are you tonight?
Excellent. Yourself?
Good. Matt kind of brought forth the point, again, there are a lot of things affecting our industry that impact a person's choice to get involved. And he thought that it would be a good idea to talk to some of the guys to represent techs. So in order to kind of lay the field for that, everybody can know that we are indeed representative of the industry. Let's start with you, Matt. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your background in the industry?
I'm the diagnostic tech and shop manager for Riverside Automotive in Redmond, Minnesota. And I pretty much get to figure it out, and somebody else fixes it. And my background is basically I grew up around my grandfather's farm implement dealership, and got into repair work that way. I enjoyed the puzzle though, figuring stuff out, figuring out how it worked, how it was supposed to work, and then why it wasn't working that way. And then high school graduation, tried to figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I thought I would go into the automotive technology program at the local technical college as something to fall back on. saw my first scan tool and I was hooked. And that's kind of been the rest of my life.
Okay, so you actually had the formal training in the automotive tech program. And how long have you been in the business, Matt?
Technically, probably since '96.
Okay. And I guess it should be fair to say, let everybody know, too, that not only are you involved, in the repair shop as a diagnostic tech, but you also do some training. You're quite the scope guy.
I have that label, yeah. I worked for the largest distributor of Pico scope in the U.S., which is now the official U.S. headquarters. I worked for them for 3 years, and I was basically the automotive department, and I got to do some training that way. And I would say I was a pretty big scope user before that. I started out with the Tektronix handheld, and then worked my way up eventually to get to a Pico.
Yeah.
And I still use multiple scopes.
Yeah, but the bottom line is, you get up in the morning, you go into work in a shop to fix cars.
Essentially, yeah. And I would say that primarily use the scan tool and then use a scope to take it to the next level if I need to.
Yeah, and I think that's a valid point. I want to come back to that. Also joining us tonight, let's bring up the first guy on my line here, Adam. Adam Gash, did I pronounce the last name right, Adam?
Gashi.
Gashi, okay, so make sure I get that right. And tell us, Adam, a little bit about your background. How long have you been involved in industry? How did you get started? That type of thing.
Well, I grew up on a farm. Dad drove a truck. I learned this out of necessity. If I wanted to get to school anyway outside of a bus, I had to fix something to make it run. Went to Vo-Tech when I was in high school. Then when I got out of high school, I went to college for John Deere Ag Tech in Garden City. Learned a lot more about the electronics on the tractors than I did at my original Vo-Tech. I just kind of kept going with it I was an understudy or apprentice at one shop. When that shop closed, I came to this one, and it all kind of got left in my court, my learning curve. I really had to jump on it and go.
Yeah. Now that's an interesting comment. I'd like to kind of hit on there. You talked about you got on your learning curve and you had to get it and go. So where are you getting your training now?
Anywhere from vision courses, online courses, mechanics networks. The largest part I learned from a group of guys on Skype.
Yeah, so it's a continuing education process for you, daily basis, right?
Every day.
Yeah, excellent. Next here, let's go to Travis. Let me pull him up. Travis, how are you doing tonight?
Doing well. How about you, Pete?
Oh, good, man. Again, for all you guys, I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out this evening and kind of tackle this topic. Travis, how about a little bit of your background in the industry for those who are watching?
I'm currently owner and technician for mobile diagnostics and programming here in Wichita, Kansas. I do automotive diagnostics and programming support for about 230 repair shops in the metro area. Try to keep mom and pop in business.
Yeah.
I started off when I was about 15 working in my local parts store, working the parts counter. Went to automotive technical school at UTI in Houston, Texas. Worked in multiple dealerships and chain stores since.
And I know Adam is also embarking on a mobile diag career. That seems to be a new kind of a niche. Is that right? In this business that a lot of guys are pursuing. I think for good reason too.
Absolutely, and I think it almost works against what we're trying to accomplish here tonight by bringing new people in. I think I'm kind of equalizing that in my area right now.
All right, well, let me introduce our last panel member here. A lot of guys may know Ryan from his work as a trainer with Standard Motor Products, but he's got quite a technical background himself. So, Ryan, tell us a little bit about your background in the automotive business.
Not too much different than any of the other guys here, Pete. Started out, my dad was a heavy equipment mechanic growing up, and while other kids were playing basketball and sports, I was the guy building go-karts out of tractors in the backyard and making them go fast and do stuff like that. And then, like any good son, my dad said, go to college, get a real job. Don't be fixing stuff for a living.
Yeah.
And so, like a good kid, I did the exact opposite of what he told me to do, and dropped out of college and started fixing cars for a living. So it's just one of those things I could never get away from. I started in 1992, working at a shop while I was in high school, and just really kept going back to that. Started school for engineering and business administration, but I loved what I was learning and doing in the shop. Kind of like Matt, just picked up the first scan tool. I had the old Tech 1A and an OTC monitor. I think it was a 4000 at that time, and really grew from there. Currently, I've got 18 different scan tools. I think 5 different scopes, and just really grew from where I started there. Worked at another shop close by me here in West Michigan, 20-bay shop. Did similar to what Matt's doing, diagnosing vehicles, managing the rest of the guys in the shop, and from there I started with Standard Motor Products in 2010, writing training material as a developer, and must be I wasn't very good at that because they promoted me to manager about a year later, and I wasn't any good at that either. And last week I was named National Director of Training.
Wow!
So I'm in charge of our training department and our professional training seminars that we do. My group of guys actually are conducting 1,800 seminars this year alone. So
wow.
Busy, and I love sharing that knowledge with people.
Yeah. Well, again, we all have the kind of the same background. Just for those who who only know me from my role at Motor Age, I spent, I'd say 30, 35 years, working on cars under the hood. Never owned a shop. Never had the tolerance for that. I preferred life in the back, and just dealing with the cars. And for me, and maybe you guys can chime in, the whole reason that I came back, even after trying a few other things, always looking to see if the grass is greener, through that 35-year period, I always ended up back in the automotive business, I guess. Now, for me personally, it was the challenge of fixing something that maybe somebody else couldn't fix. I'll be the first to tell you, I am not a big car guy. I couldn't tell you, all the different, I couldn't pick out, the 150s model from another, or, what's the fastest European sports car ever built, or any of the kind of trivia stuff that a lot of guys are into. Not me, I'm more two-wheeled when it comes to that. But the actual fixing them, working on them, the challenge of rising to the whatever the problem might have been, and overcoming that challenge, that always left me with the feeling of accomplishment. At the end of the day, I can sit back and say, "Hey, I made that happen." So for you guys, what's your motivation for being an automotive tech? What keeps you involved in the business?
For me, it's just like you said, it's the rise from solving the puzzle, going through the process of diagnosis and arriving at a conclusion and having it, be right.
Yeah. How about anybody else? Adam?
I like to eat.
Yeah, but let's hit that point. I mean, it was made in jest. Let's talk about that a minute. One of the things facing our industry, I mean, a lot of the guys are like me. They're getting old. They're aging out. And I'm going to be the first one to admit that, I told both my boys when they were coming up that, if you think about getting involved in this business, I'll kill you. Go to school, do something that's not going to, put a beating on you like this business can do. There's sort of a lot of technical trades or other fields that, a smart guy can make a lot more money in, so... Yeah, I mean, like I said, Adam might be commenting on just that I like to eat, but there are a lot of other ways you can make that happen, right? So why this way?
I love the challenge. I come to work every day. I get the largest part of diagnostic in the area between my mobile business and this shop. I'm faced with a different challenge every day, and something I've got to prove that I can do it, prove that I can gain the knowledge and the skills to be able to defeat whatever's come at me.
Yeah, and Travis, I got to think that you're probably kind of a similar cloth. I mean, this is what you do every day, right?
Well, it's basically, everybody needs this, and not everybody can do it.
Yeah, and I think that's probably, maybe that's where we're at in our industry. Because the idea of being short technicians or having an industry shortage, they've been talking about that forever. That's always been on the topic of conversation. But Donnie Seifert recently wrote an article that I think hit a nerve, and it's guys like you guys that are short. I don't think there's any shortage of bodies to do the physical work, but I think there's going to be a growing demand for men and women like yourselves that have the ability to take a vehicle that's not quite right and make it right. And I think one of the things that for those who are watching, I want to stress that you all have in common is that you all treat this industry and your role in it as one that requires continuous, ongoing education. Now, Ryan, that's the heart of your business now. So as a tech, and now as the National Director of Training, that's like a mouthful there, buddy. What do you see when you're out in the field in that? What do you see as the need for that kind of information?
I think you really hit the nail on the head. There's a need for guys, first off, that have a passion. I think all of us have that passion. None of us are getting paid to be here right now doing this, and that's actually how all of us have met. We've met at different conferences across the country that we went to on our own dime and our own time as well. And so it's because of that passion that we wanted to succeed and be the best in our industry. It really made, I think, all of us on this call here who we are today. And daily, I'm confronted by shop owners saying, "You know of any good techs?" And then I can turn around and talk to technicians saying, "You know any good shops?" And so there's not a lack of shops, there's not a lack of technicians per se, but there's a lack of good shops that I would feel good about recommending a guy to. And when I say good shop, it's a shop owner that cares about his people, may invest in training, may invest in the proper tooling, and cares about him as a person on top of it. And then same thing in the technician, a guy that's self-motivated. You know, when I left the shop 3 years ago, I created a problem before I left because I updated all the scan tools, I updated the equipment, I had 5 different laptops there. When I left, that created a huge hole. And there just wasn't another guy that could come in. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but there was nobody else that would spend their own personal time and come in at night or on Saturday morning to update all the equipment and do that kind of stuff. And for me and all of us guys here, it's just a passion. I mean, I still go out and do a lot of that kind of stuff just because I'm a nut about it, and I don't want to fall away from what's really happening out there in the street. But it's becoming more and more of a time investment. These guys all probably have 6 to 10 laptops running different software and continuous subscriptions and stuff like that they're paying for.
Yeah. Yeah, and I see Matt there in the background. He's like really shaking his head up, yes, as you're talking. So I'm sure he has some good comments to add along that same line. Again, here you are, working in the shop. You probably get all the tough or even all the diagnostics for that matter, and have invested. I know I've seen your tool outlay, here on online. Quite an investment of your own in making that happen.
Yep.
Really, is that something that we should expect our guys to do?
Absolutely not.
But you do it. But you do it, right? You do it. Why do you do it?
I'm sorry, what?
But you do it anyway, right? So why do you do that?
That's what I want to do. I mean, Ryan and I are going to probably echo, and you're going to question me for having me here, but it is a passion. It's something I care about. I get enjoyment out of it. And if I went out and bought a $50,000 boat, people probably wouldn't even question that. But I have $50,000 or more invested in scan tools. Well, now they're like, well, you got to be nuts. But that's what I get my rise out of, and I like to be able to do stuff that other shops can't do, other techs and me can't do. Not so much even skill level wise, but because I have the appropriate tool to get the job done.
Right, so you take that professionalism, I mean, just really to heart, in what you're doing every day, as are most all the guys that are here tonight.
It's a pride thing. I mean, we don't want to say, I can't do that, you better go see this guy. That's probably the underlying issue that drives all of us as well, is just that personal pride of investment and equipment and knowledge. I don't know, I remember when I started at the first shop, kind of adopted the mentality of the buck stops here. There's nobody behind me to pass this to anymore. Mm-hmm. Before, when I wasn't working at a shop, if I couldn't get a bolt out or needed something I couldn't understand how to do, you'd always go to a shop and have a professional do it. But when I started the shop in '92, I'm like, I'm that guy all of a sudden. There's nobody else for me to pass this to. Mm-hmm. In reality, there probably is other shops or a dealership or whatever that some people do. And in mobile, there wasn't a mobile guy to call at that point. And Adam and Travis won't drive to Michigan from Kansas anyway, so I'm stuck. But that was kind of the mentality I personally had to adopt, and I think that's what a lot of us have done as well.
Well, again,
not to cause this to veer off, but perfect world, as you alluded to begin with, is the shop would tool itself up for the vehicle it's working on and asking its technicians to work on.
Yeah, valid point. I want to try to steer on the same topic here. I've always said to a lot of folks here the past couple of years that when we start talking about various issues in our industry, you guys remember that game Pick-Up Sticks? Where you drop the sticks on the table and you had to pick one up without touching anything else. That's kind of like where we are, I think, now in our industry. You can't address one area without addressing several others. So I'm going to just back up a step here. The skills gap, the ability to attract new talent to our industry, especially in competition with other trades that are looking for the same folks. And again, it's for the guys and gals like you guys who have that drive to be the best they can be, even if it requires a personal investment above and beyond what many would consider normal. I mean, the last shop I worked in at its peak, we had like 40, 50 guys working, 24/7. None of them were doing anywhere near what you guys are doing. If it wasn't going to be a gravy flat rate, real quick cash in my pocket, it was send it to the dealer or give it to Pete. Which I didn't mind, but I'm not on the caliber of you guys. I mean, some of the stuff I had to fight to fix, and I'd like to say I could do it all in under an hour, but that wasn't always true. Sometimes it took a lot longer than that, but I think one of the big things that goes along with this growing need for guys like you is also a growing disparity in what guys like you are worth and what guys like you are able to command in the marketplace. If you've gone out on your own, like Travis has and Adam's working on doing, and you go on as a mobile tech, then certainly you can command your own rate. But like when I was in the shop, Matt, you're still working in the shop. Maybe you have a great arrangement with your employer. I don't know. I won't put you on the spot for that. But I know that in my shop, it's flat rate. If we had a tough diagnostic job, if I got just the time that I actually spent, then I was doing good. So that wasn't a real money maker. Again, it was the pride in being able to fix what came in and being the one that could make it happen when somebody else couldn't.
I think I'm more of the exception where I have a straight hourly rate. If I'm punched in, I'm getting paid. Unfortunately, I don't think that's the case for a lot of techs, especially when it comes to doing troubleshooting.
Yeah, definitely. I know when I was at the dealership, most of the time when I learned a new skill, learned a new system, it always resulted in me losing money.
Yeah, and that's what we're combating, right, with the flat rate system. Now there are a lot of shops who've gotten it. And I'm sure Ryan, with your with your travels around the country, you've met some of these shop owners. I know when we go to Vision, we tend to see that exceptional group. But when you look at the total attendance of something like Vision, it's not a large percentage of the total shops in the marketplace.
Right. Last night I was teaching a class in a different state, and there were 60 guys in attendance, but there was one shop owner there in the front row, and the name of his shop was Less Than Professional. I'll just leave it at that. And the shop owner himself had obviously been hitting the bar before he came into the class, and now he's got 5 guys working for him, suffering from that as well. That's pain.
Yeah.
A lot of us have been blessed with good shop owners and bad shop owners. The last shop I worked at, I'm still great friends with the owner. Go out for lunch with him at least once or twice a week, and just really great guy. But they're few and far between, as you mentioned. Let's back up a little bit to like what Travis was saying there. In the dealership world, or kind of the flat rate system, it rewards the lower guy, like the brake guy or the front end guy that can slap out a ton of work and sell a lot of labor there.
Right.
The more you learn, the higher you go up on the scale. Yeah, they might give you $1 or $2 an hour more, but the time is just not there. And so that's one of the basic issues that our industry faces right now is rewarding the competent tech.
Yeah, and to play devil's advocate, I get it from a business standpoint.
Absolutely.
I worked at a Chrysler dealership some years ago, and I remember Chrysler actually telling their dealer network back then, if you've got 14 bays, you need 14 mechanics. If you don't have the work, that's fine. You're paying a flat rate, so if there's no work to do, it's no skin off your nose. But if you do hit peak, you need that capacity. And I think a lot of business owners, shop owners, look at it that way, where inventory, we're not necessarily partners in their business. We're inventory. Our hours, our billable labor is inventory that they have to sell. So, that's one area. Shop owners, are you listening? If you want guys like the guys that you're seeing on this panel tonight that can make sure your customers' cars are fixed and fixed right the first time, and they're not just throwing stuff at it hoping something sticks, your approach to how you compensate these guys has got to change. And really, that's really the whole aim for tonight, for these guys to spend their free time to hang out with me and me to sit here at 9 o'clock at night, because I ain't getting paid either. So, is to try to get some dialogue going, just like we tried to do on the school side of things. Because we want new blood to come in, but we don't want that new guy to spend 2 or 4 years in school, make that initial investment in his tools with the knowledge he has to make a further investment in his tools, and you put him out at the gate at minimum wage and very quickly choke him out, and he goes to work for a copier company or an IT company and only needs $400 worth of tools he carries around in his briefcase. I think a lot of things that you guys just said too so far, why in this industry, is the challenge of fixing the car. I think that's one of the things that attracts all of us to it. It's the car and the technology around the car. That's the challenge. I don't think any of us would be happy doing any other field, for that matter. But
And it's instant gratification.
yes, that was a great point, Matt. I mean, that's one of the things. My dad was a carpenter, and he also used to tell me that he loved what he did because at the end of the day, he could step back and see, now there's something there that wasn't there when he got there. With us, it's the car that gets pulled in on the hook. We're able to, especially if we can do it quickly and efficiently, find the problem. I've got my son's Ford Ranger outside now waiting for me to get to it for an intermittent miss. But, yeah, that's very gratifying.
That's one of the biggest things I miss now, being in management or on the training side. I still love what I do, dealing with people and seeing the difference you can make in people's lives. But I miss the game. A broken car comes in, it's me versus the car. I'm going to win.
Yeah.
It only depends on how long it's going to take to do it. But every car came in was a new challenge. And as you guys mentioned, that's probably, again, why a lot of us do this. It's 10 to 12 challenges a day. Get them in, get them out. That's very rewarding.
Yeah. I'm going to go back one more thing to the compensation side and see if you guys can chime in as you see fit, from a tech's perspective. I know that as a tech, again, I got it. On the business side, you can't charge straight time for every die that comes in the door because, one guy that's like you, all you guys who've invested in the training and the tooling to be able to do it efficiently, you might do it in an hour. A guy less trained or less capable might take 4. You can't justify 4 hours to the consumer, right? So that's one thing. But at the same token, what do you think what's the consumer's viewpoint? Isn't there a role to play there on getting them up to speed on just how complicated these cars are?
Public awareness would help greatly. You're speaking on the diagnostic guy. I can make more money bolting on parts all day long. I get paid the same hourly rate for diagnostic as I do on bolting water pumps on.
Sure.
The customer, they have no idea the difference between their water pump and an ECM. And yes, we need to educate them somehow. I prefer not to speak to most customers because I will speak like I would speak to Ryan and Travis, and they look at me like I'm from Mars.
Yeah,
Are you talking about us or the customers?
And I think just the model, maybe not even my specific position, but a model where your techs can kind of focus on certain areas of car repair is very advantageous. There's some drawback to it, especially in the smaller shops, a lot smaller counts. The techs have to be a little more, have a wider specialization, more bumper to bumper, whereas the larger shops, I can't believe they won't have techs kind of dedicated to diagnostics or dedicated to undercar, dedicated to powertrain, etc.
Just to let the guys know in the field here, you guys who are participating had a slight little difficulty, lost signal there for a moment. Getting that back up again. See that we are back
Sure.
online, so a little hiccup there. Not sure what the cause was. Maybe there's too many people watching extracurricular activities online right now. Tying up the airwaves.
But to piggyback on that a little bit, shops can't survive typically just off the diagnostic stuff. I had a conversation with a lot of people. The shop I used to work at still has made the investment in training and in tools. They have OE scan tools to cover GM, Ford, Chrysler, Honda, Toyota, and specialize in that. So they can't bail other shops out and do just the difficult stuff. They still need to make money on the gravy stuff, the front end work, the brake jobs, the water pumps, etc. And so quite often I'll get customers go, well, I go up to Mr. Smith's Auto Repair up the road here, or A and B, or generic name shops here. I'll give them the oil changes, the exhaust work, the front end work, but then I'll go back over here to this shop to do the hard diagnostic stuff. Like, well, this shop's made the investment to do your hard diagnostic work, but you also own your loyalty to give them the easy stuff too, the tires, the brakes, etc. Two guys did quick lube, two guys did transmission work, and then a couple guys did the in-between stuff. And so the shop was probably losing money on me, but the work I did kept all those customers in-house. And so we didn't have to ship them off to the dealer or whatever. It was kind of a big picture approach.
Yeah, and really, I mean, it's not just the diag that you need the education and the training for now. I mean, come on, you can't change the tires on the car. You can't reset the oil life monitors or maintenance reminders or any other kind of stuff.
Look at battery registrations that are coming up now.
Yeah,
that requires tooling and knowledge as well.
I've seen a lot of cooked batteries.
Yeah. Well, and a shop called me the other day. They had an Audi in, and first off, they spent 2 hours looking for where the battery was, and then any type of relearns that have to be done with it, or a lot of the Euro cars where you have to actually register the battery now requires special tooling.
Yeah.
And so it is taking it to a new level.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I mean, and you guys are going to chime in. I mean, to a lot of first I thought the experience was limited to my little neck of the woods here. Just a general apathy among a lot of technicians to get the training to stay current, even on these routine service items. And then going around the country here the last few years, I've seen something similar. So I don't think it's just limited to, again, guys would rather do the easy stuff, the stuff that they don't have to put any extra effort in, and just, kind of do the job. Let me kind of temper that with as well, since we started doing some of the webinars that we do here, and Ryan, you guys, I know, do quite a few of them. There's also a hunger among a lot of guys who want to be more like you guys, and they're looking for the sources of that information, but maybe they can't, justify or have the ability to journey to vision or some of these other events that you guys make the investment in. You want to chime in on that? You see the same?
Any location or any forum that you can get involved with, where you can meet other people that are doing what you're doing or want to do what you're doing, or that do what you want to do, is going to be beneficial. I mean, there's no reason to just sit there and surf Facebook and look at pictures of cats when you can be conversing with other guys that are interested in what you're doing.
Yeah, and I say that, IATN kind of started off that way, right? I mean, and you can still learn quite a bit there.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you go digging in the right places, but unfortunately it seems that a lot of guys learn of IATN now, and they belong to the I ain't testing nothing brand of membership. Scott, if you're watching, sorry, buddy, I know I'm knocking IATN. I think it's a very worthwhile organization, and I try to visit there as often as I can. But yeah, I mean, that's
right.
just one
It is different
resource.
than it was 10 years ago when a lot of us joined, or 15 years ago, where it was a lot of the insiders, and you pretty much take for gospel truth what happened. And maybe a lot of us were at that point in our career where it was man, I found my people. type hangout.
Yeah.
And, a friend of ours, Matt Hodges, just came to Michigan with his wife a couple weeks ago for their anniversary, and his wife said, "I didn't think you guys actually existed. I just thought these were his online friends that were just made up people." And so that's a lot of us here tonight, and I know guys are watching. I think Matt's watching as well. We found our band of brothers, if you will, and it goes back to that passion and that drive. And so, we all share that common curiosity. That's what IETN really was in the forums and in the chat rooms in the early days. And now it kind of got saturated, and all of a sudden it becomes a group of great, a couple thousand people to tens of thousands of people, and it's tough to sift between the legit information and the fly-by-nighters, I guess.
Yeah, no,
it's probably a better reflection of society now than before, where before it was just that passionate group, where now it's more of a reflection of our society. And there's a big difference between seeking out a bullet after you've exhausted every means that you can come up with, get the bullet, and then backtrack and think to yourself, well, how could I have got here then through my test method and modify? And I don't know if I see that very often anymore, where it is advantageous to go there, get the bullet, fill the hours, get the payday, than to reach that point through test method. But I think it hurts you in the long run.
But again, I think it's something like that Ryan mentioned and a couple of you guys mentioned. It's a matter of your own personal, professional pride that takes you back to that point. Hey, I'd be the first to admit, when I was faced with a diagnostic situation, one of the first places I went to after I got my information on whatever might cause the problem, the system description, theory of operation, that type of thing, was to check into commonalities. Was there a thread on Identifix? Was there a thread in the ITN databases? But I never took that as that's the fix. I took that as, well, let me test to verify if I am the 331st case for this type of problem. And I think you're right. It's the guys like you guys that would take that and then, if necessary, reverse engineer how you got to that point so that you could apply what you learned to the next situation. Which, again, shop owners, if you're watching, that's why these guys are valuable to you. If you have a guy in your area, even if he's working for one of your competitors and he has the ability to do what some of these guys are doing, you need to find those guys and hook up with them. Maybe if you can't hire them direct, then hire them indirect, and send them to work so that they have something to do. I know that was always one of my complaints in the shop. I never switched any shop for any other reason that there was, by noon we were done, and I couldn't take care of my family. As long as I could take care of my family, I was a happy camper. But well,
where we're at, I hear a lot of guys complaining that the young guys don't know anything, but I was a young guy that didn't know anything. I hang out with this group of guys, and there's probably 40 in the room we hang out with now, and I will readily admit I'm the dumbest guy in the room. And with that, I'm there seeking knowledge. I've gained in their friendship, but the knowledge is paramount, and that's with everybody in the room. No matter who they are, they're going to have to continue the education, and they're going to have to seek that knowledge one way or the other. There are guys out there that are more than willing to teach if the guy's sincere. Now, if the guy's just looking for, an 03 Caravan, what causes this,
yeah,
it'll be seen. But if he's got a genuine desire to learn how to fix it right, he's going to succeed at it.
Yeah, and I got to say to what Adam just said, I mean, they are absolutely right. There are still a lot of guys in ITN. I know you guys have your group that is supportive of one another.
Matt and I must have been kicked out because we were the dumbest guys in the room previously. So, if it's Adam, we must be out. I don't know.
But it is still there. So I know I kind of hit the shop owners a couple of times tonight. Let me hit the techs who are watching, who want to rise their skills to the next level. The resources are there. There are guys just like the ones you're listening to tonight that are out there that are more than willing to bend over backwards to help you if you're trying to help yourself. If you come onto one of these forums and you're having a particularly tough time with a diagnostic situation, if you've done your homework, if you've done the basic tests and you're still struggling, these guys are more than willing to help you get that last little piece of the puzzle in place. But don't expect them to to do your troubleshooting long distance for you. You know, you have to do your part, and if you're not sure what your part is, these guys will help you learn. So, you know, any of the younger guys out there, the students who are watching, if you want to increase your diagnostic capabilities, then these guys and men like them are there to help you. They are out there.
I think now more than ever, because of the equipment issues, I guess not issues, it's just reality. You may find out you really have no business trying to fix this car. That's a harsh reality, but it's the truth. You know, you may not be properly equipped to diagnose this vehicle or finish the repair properly.
Yeah.
And you might have to swallow your pride and push the car down the road, and then again learn from that. Now, do I see this very often? How many times am I shipping this car because we're incapable? You know, whether I'm a tech or a shop owner, preferably the shop owner, but you know, do I have to acquire this piece of equipment? Will this help me? You know, will this J2534 device help me?
Yes. And so what you're saying, Matt, I guess, is if you're still using a brick, you probably need to upgrade your tools a little bit, eh?
Well, you know, I tried to help a guy in an 89 Blazer, and he had no scan tools to talk to. He thought he should be able to diagnose it with a paper clip and a test light, and I told him to ship the car, and I was the jerk.
Yeah, unfortunately. And, there's still a lot of that in the marketplace. I talk to a lot of people in the industry now, and one of the things I learned early on was that there's nearly 750,000 of us out there trying to eke out a living in this business. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think that the men and women who are on the caliber of the technicians that are with me tonight probably, optimistically, represent about 10% of that group. I say that the 10% on the bottom of that group need to be run out of the business on a rail, tarred and feathered for what they do to consumers and their cars. But I think that overall in my travels, the group that's in the middle, the vast majority of guys, do want to do what's right, do want to do what's best, but lack the information or know where to get the information to make that happen. And again, Ryan, I'm going to call on you since you're involved in that aspect of the industry and you're all over the place. Do you see the same thing?
Absolutely. Don't see a whole lot of people doing it as the public perceives and just intentionally ripping somebody off, but there's a lot of unintentional rip-offs out there just because of lack of knowledge and lack of tooling and proper training. And that's the technician's got a good heart and he's honestly trying to do the right thing. He's just lost at this point, and then kind of applying the parts cannon and starting to shoot parts at the vehicle and hope the problem goes away. I still go out with, when I'm home, I can go out with different shop owners throughout the week for lunch and visit A-level shops down to D-level shops, I guess I would call them, just to get a new appreciation of what's out there in different levels and how we can reformat our training and reach all the levels of guys. There are those guys, like Matt said, with a paper clip and a test light trying to do stuff. And sometimes we do need to show them the light that there is a better way out there of more efficiently and effectively fixing cars.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. There's so many shops out there that don't even have internet in their shops.
Exactly.
It's like,
I get weekly phone calls from people that don't even have a wire schematic in front of them, trying to figure out why this fuel pump's not running.
Right.
And
right.
It boggles my mind, but they've never been taught any better.
All right, well, let's see if we can recap, because boy, that time is just flying by, and I promised I wouldn't keep you guys any longer than an hour. Primarily, the skills gap, certainly one exists. Industry shortage, I don't particularly think so. I think the panelists agree. It's not the shortage in bodies for changing tires or changing oil or things like that, but it's going to be the men and women who can. And I know we talk about diagnostics, and we always tend to associate with drivability issues, but now it's the entire car. You can have issues in anything from the engine control module to the modules that control the windows. And if you've been keeping up with the stuff I've been posting lately in the magazine, the connected cars of the future are not that far down the road. In fact, I told my son the other day that When my 7-year-old granddaughter is ready to drive, she may have the choice between driving the car herself or letting the car drive it for her. Right? So that's the technology we're facing. And shop owners, it's the men and women, like these guys, who are going to be the ones to help you take care of your customers and need to be treated as such. Techs, if you were to rise to this level, the resources are there. You just got to avail yourselves of them, and you have to invest your time in yourself in order to become better. And I'm sure any of the men here on the panel tonight are a party to that group that would be there to help you if you reached out a hand and say, I want to learn. So let me just go down the line here. Adam, you're first one up here on my screen, so I'm going to click on you first, bring you up to the forefront. Closing comments. What do you think about tonight's discussion? Do you think we might stir up a little food for thought?
We'll stir up some food. And one of the things we were going to talk about, and we're running short on time, support your VOTECs. I mean, they're trying. The one here, the two teachers there are good friends of mine. One would make an excellent tech, and one would make an excellent service advisor. Give them your time. Donate some broken parts to show them to the kids. They just eat that up.
Yeah.
I'm doing just a little case study. These guys would laugh at it. It's so simple. But I'm going to put it on a PowerPoint for one of the teachers to show to the kids. I used a scan tool and I used a scope, and I took a camera and took pictures of the parts when I was done. And they're going to love it. Yeah,
and I want to reiterate that too real quick, because we do try to support, especially the public education side, as much as we can. We've done a few highlights of a local program recently, and we had another panel discussion to focus on that. Shop owners, techs, it's not that hard. Look at who's near you. Industry advisory councils maybe meet 3 or 4 times, during the course of the school year. You get fed. They want your feedback. If you can spend some time talking to the kids and sharing your own experiences, absolutely, they will eat that up. Matt, you're up, buddy. Your overview of this evening.
Well, I think the service gap is expanding. We're talking about we still have warm bodies, and that may be the case now, but I don't think it's going to last. I think we're going to start having a more and more difficult time finding the warm bodies that we're putting up with now. And then also, we kind of have a vicious cycle in our trade here, where we do constantly devalue the upper end of the spectrum. The more difficult jobs, the more technical jobs get devalued. Part stores doing free code scans. We also have information available to people free and/or with subscriptions that hand out silver bullets. So you don't need this knowledge. You just go here, and it's cheaper than paying somebody to fix the car that maybe you shouldn't be working on.
Yeah.
And it's a vicious cycle, and because of that, I think it's hard for the Ryan mentioned quote unquote good shop owner. Maybe he does want to change things for his techs and himself or herself, but he can't. They can't because they'll price themselves out of the market. We've kind of bottled ourselves up, and I'm not sure what the future holds actually.
No, I think that's a great observation as well, and I wish we had more time to pursue that. Business is business, right? And the big chains especially are going to do what they can to capture their market share, advertising those loss leader services that we all know about and love.
The service gap's not limited to just the automotive trade. It's all the trades that we mentioned earlier, and I think we're starting to see with those trade industries, they're hurting so bad that wages are being driven off. And I know a couple of shops now that are losing their mechanics, their techs, to like Caterpillar or heavy duty truck.
Sure.
Because they're offering way more money, benefits, etc.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and not just other repair fields. Like again, any trade, any technical trade, there's a shortage of capable men and women to fill those slots. So yeah, we're going to be competing not only for the new ones coming in, but for the ones that we already have. And I certainly understand that. Yeah, it sounds like a topic for another panel. Ryan, what do you think?
Echo what those two guys talked about. if you're a shop owner, get involved with industry trade associations, VOTEC school. Help raise up the next generation of technicians or your next generation of employees. I think a lot of, well, I know Matt and Adam, as you mentioned, and myself are all involved with local VOTEC schools on their advisory committees, help them out, and help educate the general public or even the schools that are feeding these VOTEC schools. It used to be the day where, oh, this guy's not going to be a doctor. Go over here and become a mechanic. Nothing to be further from the truth than that. We still need to educate that these need to be smart people and have good hands-on skills, reading comprehension skills, technical abilities. But then on the flip side, we have to offer them good jobs when they come out.
Yeah. We
can't expect all this stuff from them and then hope we're going to pay them $7 an hour. So
right.
It's you're creating your own monster at that point from a shop owner perspective. So get involved with the schools, start developing the next generation of technicians, and be willing to pay them when they come out. And if you're a technician on the call tonight, looking to be one of those guys, keep your chin up. There's a lot of reading, a lot of opportunity out there. And I enjoyed, like I said last night, I taught a class, and afterwards there's 10 young guys hanging out, asking a ton of questions. And how did you get to this point in your career? And I love sharing that type of information because, again, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but it's because of drive and not giving up, that all of us have gotten to where we are. And so it's, keep digging, and opportunities are out there. You just got to keep looking or create them yourself.
Okay, and Travis, we'll kind of finish up with you there, bud. With the training in the background.
All these guys really touched on the skills gap. The other thing that shop owners ask me at least once a week is, hey, do you know any good drivability or electrical techs? But in addition to that, they're going to ask me, hey, do you know anybody that can show up to work every day?
Right.
The work ethic is going to be huge. For the guys coming in, if you can't show up to school every day, you're probably not going to show up to work every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we just kind of touched on some of the things we wanted to do. I didn't think an hour is going to be enough to do all of this justice, but I do think we got a few good things out there. Hopefully the discussion will begin and continue. Love to get an opportunity to maybe try this again in the future. We had a couple little glitches for those who are watching. Apologize for that. I appreciate you staying in there with us. See, we had quite a few that are hanging in there with us. And this will be posted for later debate. To my panelists, Adam, Matt, Ryan, Travis, I really, really appreciate you taking the time out on your own time to hang out with me this evening and share your thoughts. To the techs who are watching, these are just one small number of a very good group of guys that have helped me out over the past year and a half, 2 years, on a variety of things. They're all very good at what they do, and I know any one of them would be willing to help if you, again, are willing to do your part. Shop owners, those guys, those are the ones you want to find in your town and put to work for you and treat them right, or another shop owner will. Guys, thank you again so much for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you guys, and have a very pleasant evening.
Thanks for putting it together, Pete, and thanks for all you guys do for the industry as well. It's a pleasure to be associated with you, and look forward to doing this again sometime.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Have a great evening.